The silent arrival. The war zone was already alive with fire and destruction long before the humans arrived. Dozens of alien warships floated above a broken world, their weapons still glowing from the slaughter they had carried out below. The planet's surface was burning. Entire cities turned into ash and rubble. From space, the flames looked like faint orange scars crawling across the dark side of the planet. The alien commanders were certain of their victory. To them, this was only another conquest, another species crushed, another territory claimed. They believed no power could stop their march. In the middle of this chaos, the alien fleet drifted like predators at rest. Their ships were jagged and brutal, built not for elegance but for fear. Their commanders sat in control rooms confident, laughing among themselves at how easy the battle had been. The smaller alien soldiers whispered to each other, boasting that no enemy in this galaxy could ever challenge them. They were hunters, and all others were prey. But then the sensors began to flicker. At first, it was dismissed as static, just noise caused by the debris cloud in orbit. Yet the signals grew stronger. Strange echoes appeared on their long-range radars, faint but steady. The laughter in the alien ships slowly faded into silence. Commanders leaned forward, staring at the screens. Something large was moving through, space far beyond their lines, closing the distance with unnatural precision. The first alien officer to notice it spoke with doubt in his voice. "It cannot be another fleet. We already destroyed all resistance here." But the signals did not vanish. They sharpened, multiplying, until the truth became impossible to deny. A formation of ships, massive ships, was entering the war zone. Their shapes became clear against the distant stars, dark silhouettes gliding silently through the void. The aliens had never seen these designs before. No familiar signature, no recognizable structure. They were strange, sharp, and powerful, lit by faint lines of blue light that ran across their hulls like veins of fire. The alien commanders stared in disbelief. "Humans," one of them finally whispered. The word spread like a curse through the comms. For years, humans had been dismissed as weak, a young species not worth fearing. Their colonies were small, their numbers scattered, their technology simple compared to the mighty armadas of the alien empires. Many aliens had fought against humans before and walked away victorious. They thought humans were nothing but a nuisance, stubborn but fragile. But the fleet that entered the war zone that night told another story. The human ships moved as one. Not a single vessel drifted out of place. Their formation was precise, sharp, and deliberate, like a blade cutting through the stars. No sound came from them, no chaotic chatter on open channels. They glided forward in perfect silence, their weapons hidden, their engines glowing with restrained fire. For 7 long minutes, the galaxy held its breath. The alien armada, thousands of ships strong, waited in the darkness. The humans drew closer, their shadows stretching across the battlefield. Soldiers inside the alien ships gripped their controls tighter, their confidence shaken for the first time. Commanders ordered scans and measurements, desperate to find a weakness in the approaching force. But the scans returned only confusion. The human ships were armored in ways that defied logic, their power levels unreadable, their energy signatures masked. Some of the alien soldiers tried to joke, tried to laugh again, but their voices cracked under the weight of fear. The war zone, which had once belonged to them, now felt smaller. The humans had not fired a single shot, and yet already the balance of power had shifted. Inside the human flagship, there was no noise, no fear. Officers stood at their stations, calm and focused. The commander of the fleet stood at the center of the control room, his hands behind his back, watching the enemy through the vast viewing window. He did not smile, nor did he show anger. He simply watched, as if he already knew how this battle would end. The silence stretched on, longer and heavier with each second. The aliens grew restless. Some of their ships fired warning shots into the void, beams of red light cutting across space. The humans did not answer. Their ships continued forward, steady and patient. It was as if they were waiting for the aliens to make the first mistake. Finally, one alien commander shouted through the fleet-wide channel, "Attack them now. Show them what happens when they enter our space." Dozens of alien ships lit up, their weapons and broke formation, rushing forward with blazing engines. The void of space erupted into light as they fired the first wave. Energy beams and plasma missiles streaked across the darkness, heading straight for the humans. But before the alien weapons could reach their targets, the human fleet moved. Their ships shifted with perfect timing, their defenses glowing with shields no alien had ever seen before. The enemy's shots scattered harmlessly, vanishing into fields of blue light. Then, without a word, the human commander raised his hand. Across the fleet, human warships locked their weapons. Thousands of cannons charged at once, glowing brighter and brighter until the darkness of space was filled with their fire, and then the silence ended. The first human volley tore through the alien advance, erasing ships in seconds. The Warzone, once filled with alien confidence, now belonged to humanity. The first strike. The first alien wave had been erased in a flash of fire. Where once dozens of ships charged forward with arrogance, now only fragments floated in silence, glowing red as they burned in the cold vacuum. The alien commanders froze in disbelief. They had fought countless wars, conquered entire civilizations, but never had they seen a fleet move with such perfect, terrifying power. The human ships did not cheer. They did not broadcast victory calls. They advanced without hesitation, their weapons still glowing with the memory of the first strike. To the aliens, it was not a fleet of ships. It was a storm, a force of nature, something beyond what they could control. One alien captain shouted orders through the fleet's network. Surround them. Crush them with numbers. At once, hundreds of alien vessels repositioned, trying to encircle the humans. Swarms of smaller fighters launched, buzzing forward like insects, their wings glimmering with energy blades. Massive. Dreadnoughts turned their cannons, charging enough power to tear moons in half. The aliens believed numbers would overwhelm any enemy. It had worked before, it always worked. But not this time. The humans responded instantly. Smaller escort ships split from the main formation, spreading out into wings of steel. They intercepted the swarms with a precision that looked impossible. Each human fighter firing only a single shot before turning to the next target. Alien pilots screamed as their ships exploded one after another, leaving trails of burning wreckage. Meanwhile, the larger human warships turned their cannons toward the alien dreadnoughts. Their weapons fired not with chaos, but with rhythm, as if the entire fleet shared one heartbeat. Every shot struck exactly where it needed to. Shields shattered, armor cracked, and alien ships that once seemed indestructible were broken open like fragile shells. The alien commanders panicked. They are reading our movements. How is this possible? It was true. Every time the aliens tried to adjust, every time they attempted a new formation, the humans were already there, waiting. It was as if the human fleet could see seconds into the future, predicting every desperate move. For the first time, the predators felt like prey. Inside the human flagship, the commander watched calmly. His officers called out updates, but his face never changed. He gave no long speeches, no shouts of triumph. He only spoke 3 words: maintain the rhythm. And so the rhythm continued. The second human volley shook the Warzone to its core. Dozens more alien ships vanished, their explosions lighting up the darkness like dying stars. The debris fields grew thicker, choking the space between the fleets. Alien crews screamed for mercy, their voices cutting through broken comms, but the humans did not stop. One alien dreadnought, larger than the rest, tried to flee. Its engines roared, dragging the massive vessel away from the battlefield. The alien commander inside begged his fleet to retreat with him. But before he could escape, 3 human destroyers cut across its path. Their cannons glowed, and in a single coordinated blast they ripped the dreadnought in half. The last transmission from the ship was a scream that ended in static. Panic spread faster than the fire. Alien squadrons broke formation, fleeing in every direction. Their once proud armada now looked like a shattered swarm, each ship trying to survive on its own. But the humans gave them no chance. They moved like hunters closing in on a cornered beast, their formation tightening, their weapons unrelenting. In less than 10 minutes, half of the alien fleet was gone. The survivors tried to regroup, their commanders shouting desperate orders. Focus fire on the flagship. Kill their leader. For a brief moment, dozens of alien cannons locked onto the human flagship, filling the void with a deadly storm of plasma and fire. But before the shots could strike, the flagship's shields flared with brilliant blue light. The barrage scattered into nothing as if the ship itself was untouchable. And then in return, the flagship fired only once. A single beam cut across space, slicing through 5 alien cruisers in one motion. Silence followed. The alien crews began to understand. This was not just another battle. This was not a war they could win. They were facing something far greater than themselves. Humanity had come not only to fight, but to dominate. Still, the humans did not celebrate. Their ships kept moving forward, one step at a time, methodical and unstoppable. For them, this was not victory. It was only the beginning. And as the aliens looked out into the burning war zone, a single thought echoed in their minds. If this is only their first strike, then what hope is left for us? The enemy's desperation. The war zone burned like a graveyard of stars. Alien ships that once filled the void with power were now nothing but wreckage drifting silently, their fires fading into cold darkness. Yet even in their fear, the aliens were not ready to surrender. Pride had carried them across countless battles, and that same pride now twisted into desperation. Inside the command decks of the surviving dreadnoughts, alien officers shouted at each other, their voices breaking under the weight of panic. They could not accept that humans, the species they had mocked as weak, were tearing through their armada. They refused to believe that thousands of years of dominance could end in a single night. "Regroup the fleet," one commander roared. His eyes burned with defiance even as his hands trembled. "We will crush them with everything we have left." Orders spread through the alien channels. The retreating ships were forced back into line. Squadrons were gathered, wings reformed, and weapons charged. If the humans fought with rhythm, then the aliens would answer with chaos. They would unleash all their firepower in one storm, a wave so massive that no defense could hold. Thousands of cannons lit up the void, glowing red and white with overcharged energy. Plasma missiles were armed, torpedoes primed, and experimental weapons never used before in war were prepared. The alien commanders did not care if their own ships were destroyed in the process. This was no longer about victory. It was about survival. The alien fleet moved forward again, no longer organized but savage, like a wounded beast lashing out with every claw. They fired all at once. The war zone exploded into light as rivers of plasma, fire, and missiles rained down on the human fleet. From the surface of the burning planet below, it looked like the sky itself was collapsing. Inside the alien ships, crews screamed in fury and terror, believing their strike would finally break the humans. The sheer volume of fire was overwhelming, more than any enemy had ever faced before. Alien commanders shouted across the comms, their voices rising above the chaos. "Nothing can survive this. No one can stand against our full might." But the humans stood. Their fleet shifted in perfect formation, shields flaring as they absorbed the storm. Human defenses glowed like walls of light, bending and scattering the weapons that should have torn them apart. The aliens watched in disbelief as their most powerful strikes vanished like sparks against water. Then the human ships answered. The counterattack was brutal and merciless. Precision fire lanced through the chaos, burning holes in the alien lines. Each human shot found its target, slipping through the cracks of alien defenses as if guided by fate. Entire wings of alien fighters were erased before they could turn back. Dreadnoughts, the pride of alien fleets, were torn open with surgical blasts, their cores detonating in brilliant explosions that blinded sensors for miles. One alien commander, staring at the destruction, whispered in horror, They knew we would do this. It was true. The humans had been waiting for this desperate strike. They had studied it, predicted it, and prepared for it. What the aliens thought was overwhelming firepower had become nothing but wasted energy. Still, desperation drove them forward. A massive alien battleship, larger than anything else on the field, powered up its superweapon. Its cannon, mounted across the spine of the ship, glowed like a second sun. The weapon had been designed to destroy planets. Now the commander aimed it at the center of the human fleet. The beam fired. A blinding lance of white fire tore through the void, so powerful it left trails of light burning in the darkness. Every alien crew held their breath, waiting to see the humans crushed. But the human flagship moved. In an instant, it shifted position with a speed no ship that size should have. The beam missed, slicing harmlessly through empty space. Then the flagship fired back. Its reply was not a storm, not chaos, but a single shot. One beam of concentrated energy struck the alien battleship dead center. The alien superweapon shattered. The entire ship split in half, the explosion blooming like a dying star. Fragments rained across the battlefield, colliding with nearby alien vessels and tearing them apart. The alien crews screamed as the light swallowed them. That was the turning point. Desperation turned to despair. The alien armada, once proud and mighty, collapsed. Commanders stopped shouting orders. Soldiers stopped fighting with courage. They fought only to survive, to escape the humans' wrath. The war zone became a place of chaos, alien ships fleeing in all directions, colliding with one another in their panic. But there was no escape. The humans pressed forward, relentless. Their ships cut through the battlefield like blades, erasing the last fragments of resistance. Every alien attempt to regroup was destroyed. Every desperate strike was turned into nothing. In the quiet corners of the alien fleet, whispers began to spread. Whispers that chilled even the bravest warriors. Perhaps this is not war. Perhaps this is extermination. And for the first time in countless generations, the predators of the galaxy understood what it felt like to be hunted. The turning point. The war zone was no longer a battle. It was a slaughter. Alien ships scattered in fear, their proud formations broken apart, their leaders unable to control the chaos. Yet even in their despair, a few commanders clung to hope. They believed there was still one chance, one last weapon that could turn the tide. From the edges of the battlefield, 3 massive alien dreadnoughts emerged. They were ancient ships built during a forgotten era of war, each one the size of a floating city. Their hulls glowed with deep crimson energy, and their cannons could rip continents apart. To the aliens, these dreadnoughts were symbols of ultimate power. Entire civilizations had fallen before them. When the alien fleet saw their arrival, whispers of courage returned. Soldiers who had lost all faith began to shout again, believing their gods of war had come to save them. Commanders barked orders with renewed confidence. Form behind the dreadnoughts. Shield them! Their fire will crush the humans. The 3 giants moved forward, their cannons charging. The space around them trembled, waves of raw energy spreading across the void. Their engines roared with power brighter than stars. For the first time in the battle, it was not the humans who looked unstoppable. It was the dreadnoughts. Inside the human fleet, officers reported the threat. Massive energy buildup detected. Their weapons are charging. Impact will be catastrophic. But the human commander did not flinch. He stood in silence, watching the giants draw closer. His voice was calm, steady, like a man who had already seen the end of this battle. "Prepare the weapon," he said. The crew obeyed without hesitation. At the heart of the human flagship, something stirred. Deep within its armored core, a weapon unlike any other began to wake. For months it had been hidden, tested in silence, never unleashed in real combat. Tonight would be its first use. The alien dreadnoughts fired. 3 beams of unimaginable power tore across the void. The light was so bright that it blinded sensors, painting the battlefield in white fire. Alien crews cheered, believing the humans were finished. Even the surviving alien ships began to turn, ready to charge again. But as the beams struck, the human fleet stood unbroken. Their shields, glowing brighter than ever before, bent but did not break. The alien superweapons had done nothing. And then, the humans answered. From the human flagship, a single cannon extended, glowing with pale blue fire. The weapon was silent at first, its power building slowly, its light stretching across the ship's frame like veins of lightning. The aliens stared at it, confusion turning into dread. They had never seen such energy before. Energy that felt alive, as if the void itself was bending to humanity's will. The human commander raised his hand. His voice was cold, certain. "Fire!" The weapon unleashed its fury. A beam of pure energy, brighter than a sun, tore across the battlefield. It cut through the first alien dreadnought as if the ship were made of paper. The explosion lit the void, shattering the giant into fragments that drifted like burning meteors. Alien soldiers screamed across the comms, their voices fading into silence as the ship died. The beam did not stop. It arced like a blade, slicing through the second dreadnought. Armor melted, engines detonated, and the ship split apart in a blinding flash. The shockwave rippled through nearby alien vessels, tearing them apart as if they were nothing. The third dreadnought tried to escape. Its engines roared, pushing it away from the beam's path. But the humans adjusted. The weapon bent its light, chasing the fleeing ship. The beam caught it, piercing straight through the core. The explosion was so massive it swallowed everything around it, turning the battlefield into a sea of fire. In one strike, 3 giants, the pride of the alien fleet, were gone. Silence followed. The alien fleet froze, every ship motionless. The cheers that had filled their comms moments before vanished, replaced by a silence so heavy it felt like death itself had arrived. The sight of their dreadnoughts destroyed shattered the last fragments of hope. One alien officer whispered what many were thinking. They are not just warriors. They are executioners. Panic spread once again, but now it was absolute. There was no pride left, no courage, no thought of regrouping. Alien ships turned to flee, desperate to escape the battlefield. But the humans were not finished. Their fleet advanced, cutting down every straggler, every ship that tried to run. The rhythm of their attack continued, precise and merciless. No wasted fire, no missed shots. The humans moved like predators, cleaning the battlefield of prey. The alien commanders knew the truth. This was not a war they could win. It was not even a war at all. It was judgment. From the burning wreckage of the dreadnoughts to the scattering survivors, the entire galaxy would remember this night. Humanity had revealed its strength, and the message was clear. No armada, no matter how mighty, could stand against them. And as the last of the dreadnought fragments drifted into silence, the human commander spoke one final order: finish it. The fleet obeyed. Silence after the storm, the war zone was gone. What had once been filled with thousands of alien ships now drifted as a graveyard. Fragments of shattered hulls floated in silence, glowing faintly as their fires slowly died. The void itself seemed darker, as if the stars had dimmed out of respect for the destruction that had taken place. The alien fleet no longer existed. Their mighty armada, their dreaded war machines, their proud commanders, all were gone. Only wreckage remained. A few crippled vessels tried to limp away, engines flickering like dying embers, but even they were hunted down, erased without hesitation. The humans had left nothing behind. Inside the surviving alien channels, the truth spread like poison. They are unstoppable. They are not soldiers. They are monsters. They are death itself. No one dared to argue. The humans, however, did not celebrate. Their fleet regrouped in perfect order, drifting in formation among the ruins. Their weapons were no longer glowing. Their engines burned softly, steady and calm. To them, this was not a victory worth boasting about. It was simply a mission completed. On the human flagship, the commander stood in silence, staring out at the battlefield. His officers waited for words, perhaps some declaration of triumph, but none came. His face was expressionless, his eyes cold. He did not see wreckage, he saw a message the galaxy would never forget. The silence that followed was heavier than the battle itself. Alien survivors hiding in distant systems would tell the story. They would whisper of a night when humans entered a war zone and erased an armada in minutes. They would speak of a weapon that could cut dreadnoughts apart like shadows, and they would warn others. Do not face humanity in war. Down on the ruined planet, the fires of conquest still burned. The aliens had left nothing alive on its surface. But now, as the human fleet circled above, it was clear that the balance of power had changed. Humanity was not the hunted anymore. Humanity was the hunter. One alien survivor aboard a damaged scout vessel sent out a final transmission before fleeing. His voice was broken, trembling with fear. They are coming. If they enter your skies, your worlds are already lost. That message would spread across the stars. Entire civilizations would hear it. Some would laugh at it, calling it an exaggeration. Others would tremble, knowing deep inside that it was the truth. The humans, though, did not care who believed. They did not need to prove anything. They had shown the galaxy what they could do. As the last alien signal faded, the human commander finally spoke to his fleet. His voice was calm, steady, and absolute. The war zone is ours. Prepare to move. Engines roared as the human ships aligned. Their formation stretched across the battlefield, silent and sharp. One by one, their thrusters lit up, pushing them back into the endless night of space. They did not stay to admire their victory. They did not linger to pick through the remains. They had no need. Behind them, the war zone remained a graveyard, a warning carved into the stars themselves. Any who passed through it in the future would see the wreckage, drifting forever in the void, and remember the night humanity rewrote the rules of war. For the aliens, it would be a scar that never healed. Their leaders would whisper in their dark halls, asking themselves how they had underestimated humans for so long. Their soldiers would fear every shadow in space, wondering if the next star they saw would hide a human fleet. For humanity, it was only the beginning. The galaxy had believed humans were weak, scattered, unimportant, but this battle proved the opposite. It proved that when humans arrived, when they entered a war zone, the outcome was already decided. Wars would not last long, enemies would not survive, and so silence filled the stars once again. But it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence after the storm, the silence left when predators realize they are no longer the hunters, but the hunted. And in that silence, one truth echoed across the galaxy. When humanity comes, the war is already over.